Range. I'm from Midcape Assembly in Dennisport, Massachusetts. And today I'm going to be preaching to you on the topic of mission and purpose, on the scriptures of Isaiah chapter 6, Matthew 9:37, 1 Peter 2:9, and Luke 6:26. Here I am, Lord, send me. Those words were spoken by the prophet Isaiah in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8, in response to the Lord's question of who would be willing to go, to lay down their surrender, their will, their dreams, and trade it all in for a kingdom mindset, one that focuses on the race set before them. Friends, recess is over. We have been living as if we're called to a playground rather than a battlefield. And the danger about having a playground mindset but a battlefield reality is that we won't be wearing the armor of God readily available to us because we have dismissed the urgency of our call. We each have been given a heavenly assignment to win souls for the kingdom of God. Jesus said in Matthew 9:37, the harvest is ripe, but the laborers are few. Before God commissions Isaiah in verse 8, Isaiah is purified by a hot coal that touches his lips. After that, verse 7 says that his guilt is taken away and his sin atoned for. God had to get Isaiah on the route to sanctification before he could use him. I think we need to stop despising the rebukes and corrections from the Lord because oftentimes they are the key to our utilization. Christian, it's time to stop arguing with the saved and start preaching to the lost. Stop speaking in tongues and turning around and gossiping in English. God's people aren't called for this kind of lifestyle because we don't have time to waste. Jesus is coming back, y'all. And though this world is temporary, our actions now set up our eternity. It is no accident that you are alive right now. In fact, it is for this time and for these people and for this climate that we have been called by our Maker. It isn't going to look like how it has in the past because God has given unconventional callings to those willing to do unconventional things. 1 Peter 2:9 tells us that we are a chosen people, a royal priesthood set apart to proclaim the praises of our God. I plan to go into ministry. And oftentimes when I tell people this, I'm met with, oh, that's interesting. And sometimes I so badly want to defend myself. But the Lord reminds me that when he calls his people, it's not a group email and it is not a conference call. It is a personal message from the Creator to the created. Of course, culture isn't going to understand your purpose because that's just it. It's yours. We live in a society that values popularity over greatness. We would rather have the blue check mark next to our Instagram username than live a life that goes unnoticed by the public eye. But popularity is subject to culture's fickle approval. Greatness is subject to God's authority and favor. You probably won't even recognize most of the names that God said were great because we are so driven by popularity rather than purpose. But God cares more about your task than he does your title. The people that God said were great were simply the ones who said yes. Fishermen, shepherds, pregnant virgins. Our God defines greatness differently. Luke 6:26 says, woe to you when all people speak well of you, for so their fathers did to the false prophets. Jesus reminds us that being liked or popular is not the mission we have. In fact, being a fan favorite in this secular society is a telltale sign that there is either something off with our beliefs or the execution of them. Do you know what made the prophet Isaiah so great? It was his yes. It wasn't his qualifications or his resume. It was his availability. God doesn't care what your status is because quite honestly, it has never been about you. It's been about what Jesus did on the hill of Calvary. The harvest is ripe, but the laborers are few. There is too much on the line for us to be arguing with our commissioner about our qualifications. He knows who you are, and yet he still chose you. So the question is, will you go? When God calls, are you willing to mimic Isaiah's response? To say, here I am, Lord, send me. Thank you.